Hey everyone, Caleb with the Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with a really cool video that I think really is going to really appeal to book stackers like me, and that is, are ex-library books worth buying? Now, of course, this video can definitely appeal to resellers like me, but it also appeals to people that just like buying books and reading books, because sometimes an ex-library book that sounds a little weird, and it's always such a low price. People say they're not good. They say this, they say this, all these things. So a lot of people that like reading books and like collecting books are like, well, should I buy this? What's so bad about it? Da 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 da. So for me, I'm just going to say out front right now, it is still worth buying ex-library books. It doesn't matter how crummy of an ex-library book it is. Like, I guess it sort of matters, but at the end of the day, if you're buying an ex-library book and if you are really looking for it and if you can't find anything else, odds are sometimes an ex-library book is the last copy of this particular book that you might be able to find anytime soon, anytime in the future. Maybe it's the last one ever. Because for me, as an antique book seller, I have actually come across some antique books that are ex-library books, and after hours and hours and hours of scouring the internet, I can't find any more copies of this particular book out there. And it's like happens so often, and I'm like, oh man, this is maybe the last one out there, and it's an ex-library book. But even though it's that, it's still a really valuable book because, again, it's the last one out there. And sometimes you can come across some ex-library books that are still in very good condition. Yes, you will find some that are absolutely in tatters. I can almost guarantee you'll find that actually. But if you know how to shop around, like if you're buying your books on eBay or in person, you can like look at the description, you can handle the book if it's in person, and you can figure out if the book is still worth having. You can see, oh, it's missing half of its pages, what's going on here? And you can see all these different things. Like you can even see, oh, it's been chewed up by a baby. Okay, that's a little weird, let's not buy this book. And you'll even be able to see that on eBay if they got good pictures. But with all that said and done, I am just going to show you guys a couple ex-library books, literally just two, so just a couple. So this one, first one is the Sojourner. Man, I can't say that word today. And as you can see, it's got the little glossy plastic on it that you see on a lot of ex-library books. It has that little thing that they have for the filing. I can't remember what they call it, but it has some fancy name. And then it has the barcode, and it even has like an old sticker because this is an older book, and sometimes they have some weird stickers in them from the library's different ways that they filed over the years. This particular book, man, again I can't talk, has that little leaflet thing that you used to put your little card in. It has a sticker here, has some tape on it, all that sort of stuff. But believe it or not, it still has its dust cover. A lot of the times, if you find an ex-library book, it won't have a dust cover, so it's actually sort of cool that this one still has it. But it does have some writing in it, which is, and a stamp, and it's just going to have a bunch of just little things that sort of add character to the book. And if you're a person that really likes the story of books, you could be like the story of the book, like what it's been through itself, not the actual story in the book. You can be like, oh wow, so in 2014, this book was here and this and this and this, and you can sort of see the story from an ex-library book, which is sort of cool on its own. No, I wouldn't pay more for it just to know the story, but it is something that's sort of neat with these books. But let's face it, guys, it's got some Sharpie on it that the library put on because that's what they do when they discard a book. And discarding just means that they don't want to have it in their library anymore, but they don't think it's a terrible book. So sometimes they get put into different places, like the Friends of the Library book sale, and those book sales will then sell the book, and that proceeds will go to the library itself. So when you buy ex-library books, odds are you're actually indirectly helping a library if you're buying it from eBay, or you're directly helping the library when you're buying it from an actual Friends of the Library sale. But of course, there are all the stamps, there's all the damage, there's all the different writing you'll find on it. A lot of them will even have like stamps on the text block, as you can see in this one. Maybe it's got a little thing of what the library was that it came from. And a lot of people aren't going to like that. They're going to be like, oh, that's pretty sad. But it's actually pretty easy to clear up. So let me just say, guys, out front, rubbing alcohol is your friend if you're buying ex-library books, or if you're buying a lot of books in general. A lot of books, for some reason, have like some Sharpie marks on it, and people are like, oh no, it's Sharpie. It's never ever going to come off. But let me tell you guys right now, it does come off. So bear with me really quick. I'm just going to show you guys. So opening up some rubbing alcohol, got a little tissue here. All you got to do, guys, is just get a good amount of alcohol on it. And again, don't do this all the time. Like if it's plastic, you know you can do it safely. If it's a book with a glossy cover, you can do it semi-safely. Just don't use too much alcohol. But literally all you do And if you're a mom, I'm sure you've done this a million times for trying to clear stuff off, but you just dab on that rubbing alcohol and then you slowly just rub and rub and rub, and eventually you'll get all of it off. So I'm just going to rub a little faster just because the video needs it to be a little bit faster. But here you go. As you can see, the Sharpie mark all across the barcode's gone. And as you can see, my tissue right here is a little blacker. And it's really just that easy. You could do it that short. You could take your time. For me, I did it a little fast, so I actually rubbed off some of the barcode text on this, which shows that the barcode is actually on the outside of the plastic, which means if I really cared, I could actually put on more rubbing alcohol. And rubbing alcohol, guys, it actually does really well at removing stickers. So I could probably take this sticker off, and I could definitely soak this thing here, this other sticker, and get this sticker off. And with some heat, trust me, guys, if you've watched National Treasure, as the dad said, oh, you need some heat. That's what you need to get off some stickers sometimes. So this one, it's got tape on it, but heat and alcohol, especially when you put them together, they are great at removing stickers. So that is definitely a pro tip that you guys could definitely use to make your X-Library books look a little less X-Library if that's something you're worried about. But all that said and done, this is just one X-Library book. And here's another one. I actually bought this at the same exact Friends of the Library sale. So as you can see, this one also has this stamp from the library. Oh, it has it on all three sides on this one. Has the same barcode, the same thing on the end. Let's just open it on up. So besides that, it looks great. It's got a couple stamps from the library. Another stamp here from the library. And that's that. Let me just flip through very quick. Looking at this, there's no markings throughout the book. There's one stamp on the last page, and that looks like that's it. Oh, it's got a little bit of sticker residue. Actually, it's got a little bit of its back illustration thing ripped out because they ripped out a sticker. But besides that, this book is like, you can't even tell it's an X-Library book unless you actually start really looking at it. And that's the really cool thing about X-Library books is, yeah, there is some exterior damage to some of them, but sometimes you can't even tell. And if you do the rubbing alcohol trick and the heat trick, and there's even ways to get stuff off of the text block itself, so the text block is where the paper is, there's ways to get the writing off of even that. So there are a lot of ways that you can make the X-Library book not even look X-Library. Of course, that doesn't work all the time. So I've actually had some books that, like in the first page, they actually like get a hole punch sort of thing. I think it's an embosser, and they like hit it. And when they hit it, it embosses the cover or the page or whatever they do it on. And it makes it so for some libraries, they have like their name in that embossing. So it'll have like a 3D version of their name. And while that does look cool, that is a little bit harder to undo than it is to like just put some alcohol on some Sharpie. So that is definitely a downside to X-Library books. But all of that being said, let's face it, guys, if we're buying a book, are we really worried about a few small markings on its cover or on its innards? Like, at the end of the day, we're buying a book because we want the story. And if a library is selling an X-Library book, I would say 99.9% of the time that book is still going to be perfectly readable. And if not, it might need a tiny bit of work to get perfectly good again. But libraries are very willing to throw away a book if it's absolutely in tatters. Like, I have seen so many of them just get thrown away, and I actually sometimes I'm like, hey, I see you're throwing this one away. Can I actually have that one? I can fix that one. And that's happened to me a couple of times now. I'm not saying every X-Library book you see is going to be in good enough condition to read whatsoever, because there are libraries out there, I'm sure, that will try to sell books that are absolutely crummy, because everyone does that. And I'm sure there's going to be eBay resellers and other places that are going to try to resell these crummy X-Library books. But there are, I would say, by and large, more good quality ones, or at least mostly good quality ones, that are still worth reading, still worth buying. And again, guys, most of the time with X-Library books, you're going to get a really good deal on it. So like, let's face it, you're not really missing out. You're getting like a less quality book. It's not going to be as beautiful, but it's going to be like half the price potentially of what a prettier version of it is. And as I said in the very beginning of this, you're going to be dealing with some books that are like really rare to find. So to even get an X-Library book is pretty stinking cool. And all of that being said, something else that's really interesting about X-Library books in general, I think it's really weird actually. So for me, I live in America, and in America we have all the public libraries, but then you also have school libraries, and then you have college libraries, and then one of the best libraries that I personally buy stuff from is church libraries, especially Catholic church libraries. And the Catholic church libraries, guys, pro tip right here, especially if you're interested in collecting these books or reselling them yourselves. Go to those Catholic book sales that they have. So a lot of Catholic churches have book sales, and even non-Catholic churches have book sales sometimes. But the Catholic ones I find are normally the best, and they have books that are like 200 years old that they're selling, and like maybe 5 people have read them over the years because the libraries are just so big at some of these churches. So it's like you can find some of these amazing books, and I'm actually reading a couple right now that are several hundred years old, and it's just crazy because you can get like these pretty good looking books, and some of them you can't even tell they're ex-library. A couple they'll have like a discard stamp, a couple will have like an embossing, a couple will have the church's name. But I've had a lot that like you can't even tell it's ex-library. Like they don't even say that it is. The only reason I know that it is because of the content and because of the sale and because of all these different reasons. But it's crazy like the amazing things that you can find from these ex-library sales. So with that being said though, I'm sure you guys might be wondering where you can get ex-library books. And again, I mean, this appeals to people that are just buying books for themselves or buying books to resell. And here's just a quick tip on where you can find ex-library books. So first things first, so Friends of the Library sales. A great place to find Friends of the Library sales is you go to a website called booksalefinder.com. That's literally just BOOK sale SALE, and then finder FINDER. I hope I spelled all that right, and then .com. And it's really simple. You just type in whatever city you're in, whatever state you're in. Well, actually, you can't do city on that one. Sorry. You type in whatever state you're in, and then you can look at all the different cities. You can even check out your neighboring states, and that's a really, really, really insanely good resource for finding Friends of the Library sales. Another thing is check out all the local newspapers around your state. You can find some Friends of the Library sales that way. That's actually the only way I can find out about some of the different Friends of the Library sales near where I live. Facebook is another place that you could check out for those different sales. Another thing is literally just type in, like on Google Maps, libraries, like public libraries, and then look at your entire state and just click all the different ones, open up all their different websites, and a lot of them will link to their Friends of the Library group. Friends of the Library groups. A lot of them have groups, and those groups host sales quite often. A lot of them do. Like I've only found a few that don't host any sales, so that's something that you might find, but it definitely is in the minority in my experience. But those Friends of the Library sales, guys, trust me, that is where you want to go. And another place that you might want to go that you might not really expect is estate sales. So there are a lot of people that I have gone to their estate sales for, and a lot of these people that are voracious readers like me, they actually have a lot of ex-library books in their collections of books, because even for them, they don't see having an ex-library book as the end of the world. They're like, a book is a book is a book. And yeah, they're not the most beautiful books, as I've said already. They're not always the most beautiful, but sometimes it's the only version of that book that you can ever find in your lifetime. So it is really worth getting these antique books. So estate sales you can find on estatesales.org and estatesales.net. Those are two places that I like to go to check out different estate sales. But you can check it out on Craigslist, Facebook. There's all these different places that you can find out about estate sales. Next place that you can go to get ex-library books that are really good is, as I've mentioned before, those different church sales. So some of them, some of the church sales do list their sales going on in the local newspapers and on booksalefinder.com and all these different places. So that is something that is really valuable and is really cool, but they don't all do it. So you do need to poke around a little bit to find out about some of these different churches that have different book sales going on, because some of them have some amazing finds. Like if you are interested in different Christian theology things, you can find some amazing Christian theology books. If you're interested in books in general, a lot of them have great just general fiction books, especially like clean fiction books. So like if you're buying books for your kids, going to a church book sale is probably a lot better of a call than going to some of the other places where your kid might find some very inappropriate books. So that's definitely something you guys want to keep in mind. So another thing that is really cool though about the books that you get at the Catholic sales and the other church sales is when you are reselling, like for me, I'm a book reseller. Some of those books, like you are buying for like 50 cents because the church doesn't care about the price anymore. They're just trying to either raise money for some fundraiser they're doing, or they're just trying to get rid of a book. So for me, I've been able to make like hundreds, or actually probably tens of thousands of dollars, let's be honest here, from different book sales at different churches. And all you really have to do is just show up, and you can see all these amazing deals. And a lot of the books there are from the church's library itself, but some of them, a lot of them actually, are from the actual church members donating books to have sold at the church to raise money for the church, which is pretty stinking cool. But it also means that you're going to be able to find all these kinds of books that you wouldn't expect to find at a church sale. Like I've gone to some and it's like they have an entire folding table just full of cookbooks. And I'm like, well, I did not expect cookbooks at this church sale, but I'm not going to complain. I went through and I was able to get I'm just from memory right here. So I went to one in Tri-City, which was absolutely amazing. So Tri-Cities is a place in Washington. And this particular sale was absolutely amazing, as I said. And just at the cookbook sale, cookbook table at the sale, I believe I made like $1,500 worth of just books that I bought and was able to sell for a profit. So that was some pretty good money just from cookbooks, which I didn't even think to get at a church library sale, but I did, and I made really good money, as I already said. So guys, be sure to check out every single place that you can that you even can feasibly think might have ex-library books, because again, they're going to be really cheap usually. You can get them even cheaper if you go and buy them at those places that I already mentioned in that little count off. But if you guys don't want to go around and shop around, you can always buy ex-library books on Amazon, and you can buy them on eBay, and I'm sure you can buy them everywhere else. I'm sure you could even get them on Facebook Marketplace if we're being honest here. So be sure to shop around, guys. Yes, you can find books that aren't ex-library sometimes. Sometimes you can get a really good deal, but other times ex-library books are the only ones you're going to be able to get, and because of that, it's definitely worth buying those. So all that said and done, I hope this video really helped you guys, opened your eyes to a couple things, and I hope it showed you guys that an ex-library book, it's really not the end of the world. Just like literally a little bit of rubbing alcohol in a hairdryer, you can take care of a lot of the issues with the book. So all that said and done, I will see you guys in the next video. Be sure to subscribe and be sure to check out one of those, and I will see you guys then.